Princess Alira stood on the balcony of her high palace, looking out at the sky. The world below was filled with golden clouds and soft blue light. Her home was the floating city of Leora, a place where peace and beauty ruled. The people of Leora had lived without war for many centuries. They loved music, art, and quiet moments under the sun. Alira grew up learning about kindness and the power of calm. But something was changing in the sky today, far from the peaceful city. Dark shapes moved against the bright clouds. Alira felt a strange feeling in her heart. She did not know what it meant, but she knew that soon her peaceful life would change. Below the palace, people were gathering around a strange object. It was a small metal ship, broken and smoking. The guards watched carefully, afraid but curious. This ship was not like anything they had ever seen before. It was sharp and rough, made for fighting and travel through deep space. From inside the ship, a man came out slowly. He was tired and hurt. His clothes were torn, and his face was hard and serious. He looked like a soldier. His name was Tomas. He came from a faraway world called Earth. Tomas had been on a mission when his ship was attacked. He was the only one left alive. The people of Leora did not know what to do with him. Their world was peaceful, and they had never met anyone like Tomas. Many were afraid he might bring danger, but Princess Alira was curious. She wanted to see the man who came from the stars. Alira walked down the palace stairs quickly and stood before Tomas. Her long white dress moved gently in the wind. Her eyes were calm but full of questions. Tomas looked up at her with tired eyes. He had seen many battles and had faced death more than once. But here, in this strange place, he was silent. "Who are you?" Alira asked softly. "I am Tomas." He said, "I am a soldier." Alira had heard the word before, but it was strange on her tongue. In Leora, fighting was only in stories. "Why are you here?" she asked. "My ship was destroyed." "I came here to survive," Tomas said. The people round them whispered. Some were afraid, others were curious. Tomas looked around and saw the calm and beauty of Leora. It was very different from his home. Alira wanted to understand Tomas. She asked him about his life and his world. He told her about the stars, about fighting for his people, and about loss. Tomas spoke simply, but with feeling. Alira listened closely. She began to see that Tomas was not a danger. He was a man who had seen much pain but still hoped for peace. Days passed. Tomas was cared for in the palace. The healers used soft light and gentle hands to make his wounds better. But Tomas was restless. He wanted to learn about Leora, and he wanted to prepare for danger, just in case. Alira spent many hours with Tomas. They talked about their worlds and their ways. Tomas taught her how soldiers think, about strength, courage, and protection. Alira taught Tomas about peace, beauty, and the power of calm minds. Slowly, they became friends. They shared stories and hopes. Tomas began to smile again, and Alira felt a new strength in her heart. But both knew that danger was coming. One night, under the soft light of 3 moons, Alira stood on the balcony again. Tomas joined her. Dark shapes were closer now. The enemy ships were near Leora's peaceful skies. Alira looked at Tomas and said, "I do not know what will happen, but I know I must protect my people." Tomas nodded, "And I will help you." The sky was no longer calm. A new story was about to begin. A story where peace and war would meet. Where a princess and a soldier would face a challenge that could change their worlds forever. The days after Tomas's arrival were quiet but tense in the city of Leora. The people watched him carefully. He was different from anyone they had known. His strong body and serious eyes told stories of battles and hard times. Some of the Leorans felt fear. They did not understand him or his ways. Princess Alira visited Tomas every day. She wanted to learn more about this human soldier. She hoped to find the man behind the hard shell. But Tomas was slow to open his heart. He was tired and wary of new friends. "Why do you not speak much?" Alira asked one morning as the sun painted the sky gold. Tomas looked at her quietly. "Because I do not know if I can trust you." Alira's eyes grew soft. "You can trust me." I want to help. Tomas shook his head. Trust is earned, not given. Alira thought about this. In her world, trust was easy. People lived without fear for many years. But Tomas came from a world of danger. He knew how to protect himself. That was why he spoke so little. Words were weapons too. And he had learned to guard them. Despite this, Alira did not give up. She spoke to Tomas about her people's ways. She told him how Liorans love peace and art. She told him about the floating gardens and the songs that filled the air every morning. Tomas listened but sometimes looked away. Peace is a good thing, he said. But sometimes, to keep peace, you must fight. Alira frowned. Fight? I do not understand. Tomas sighed. In my world, some want to take what is not theirs. They do not care about peace. Alira looked at him closely. She saw the pain in his eyes. Have you lost people because of this? Tomas nodded. Many. Silence fell between them. It was heavy but honest. Days passed, and Alira continued her visits. She showed Tomas the gardens and the art halls. Tomas, in turn, showed her how to hold a simple stick like a weapon. He taught her how to stand strong, how to be ready. Alira moved gracefully, but Tomas saw strength beneath her calm. You fight like a dancer, he said once with a small smile. She smiled back. Then I will dance to protect my home. But not everyone in Liora trusted Tomas or his lessons. The city's council was filled with elders who remembered old wars but hoped never to face them again. They whispered among themselves, worried about what Tomas's presence meant. One day, the council called Alira. You must be careful. They warned. This soldier may bring war to our doors. Alira stood tall. He is not here to bring war. He is here to help us survive it. The council shook their heads but said no more. They watched and waited. Meanwhile, Tomas prepared quietly. He knew danger was coming. His instincts told him that Liora's peace was fragile. He worked with Alira to train the willing. The Liorans were slow to take up weapons, but Tomas saw courage in their eyes. One evening, Tomas stood on the palace steps and looked up at the sky. The stars were bright, but in the distance, dark shapes moved. Enemy ships were coming. Tomas called Alira. They are close, he said. Alira felt her heart race but kept calm. What will we do? We prepare, Tomas said firmly. We do not run. Alira nodded. She looked at the young people training under Tomas's guidance. She saw fear, but also hope. We will fight for Liora, she said. The next morning, the council met again. Tomas asked for weapons and permission to train the city's people. The council was divided. Some were afraid to break the old rules. Others saw the need for change. Alira spoke with quiet strength. Peace is our greatest gift, but it will not protect us if we do nothing. I ask you to trust us. The council was silent. Tomas and Alira waited. Finally, the oldest elder spoke. We will allow it, but only under strict watch. Alira thanked them. She turned to Tomas. This is only the beginning. Tomas nodded. We will be ready. That night, Tomas and Alira walked the palace halls. Alira touched the walls, the paintings, the soft lights. Do you miss your home? Tomas asked. Alira thought, sometimes, but now, my home needs me here. Tomas smiled softly. Then we will protect it together. Alira looked at him with new respect. This man from a distant world was no longer just a soldier. He was her ally and friend. The city of Liora waited in silence, the calm before the storm. The princess and the soldier stood ready. The sky above Liora had never looked so dark. For many days, the peaceful floating city waited and watched as strange ships gathered near its borders. They were unlike anything the Liorans had seen before, black and sharp, moving like shadows. Against the bright clouds inside the palace, Princess Alira stood before the council. Her calm face held a new fire. The elders looked at her, some with worry, others with fear. The enemy is near, Alira said clearly. They will not wait. The council members shifted in their seats. What do you propose? Asked one. Elder, we must prepare, Alira answered. We cannot hide anymore. Tomas stood quietly beside her. He had spent days training the people of Liora. teaching them to fight. But he knew this battle would be different. The Laorns were not. Soldiers. They were not ready for war. An elder shook his head. We have not fought in 1,000 years. Our people will not take up weapons. Alira's voice grew stronger. Our peace is a gift, but it is not a shield. If we do nothing, our homes will be destroyed. The council was silent. Later, Tomas met with Alira alone in the palace gardens. The golden light of sunset made the flowers glow. They are stronger than I thought, Tomas said. They will not give up easily. Alira looked at him. Then we must show them the strength of Leora. Together, they walked among the people, calling volunteers to train. Tomas taught them how to move quietly and how to use the simple weapons the Laorns could make. Alira watched as the peaceful artists and scholars became fighters, slowly but surely. One day, as Tomas led a group through the training fields, Alira noticed how the soldiers began to trust each other. She saw new courage in their eyes. But trouble came quickly. One of the council members, worried and angry, spoke out, "This is madness. We should not be fighting. It is not who we are." Alira faced him without fear. "If we do not fight, we will lose everything." The man stared at her. "And if we do fight, we lose our souls." Alira's heart ached, but she stood firm. "Our souls will live only if we protect our people." The day of the first attack came suddenly. The black ships filled the sky like a storm. The peaceful city below held its breath. Alira and Tomas stood together on the palace tower, watching the enemy approach. "They are coming fast," Tomas said. Alira nodded. "We will meet them with strength." The Leorn defenders took their places. Tomas gave quiet orders. The soldiers moved like shadows among the floating gardens and narrow streets. The enemy ships opened fire, sending bursts of fire and smoke into the sky. The city shook. The people below ran for safety, but the defenders held their ground. Alira led a group of fighters along the edge of the city. She moved with grace and power, guiding them to protect the homes and the people. The battle was loud and fierce. Tomas fought at the front, his movements sharp and strong. Alira was beside him, steady and fearless. For the first time, the enemy faced real resistance. The fighting lasted through the night. The enemy ships tried to break the city's defenses, but the Laorns would not give up. Tomas and Alira worked together, using strategy and courage. As dawn broke, the enemy ships began to retreat. The sky cleared, and the people of Leora breathed. Again, the victory was small, but it was a victory. In the quiet after the battle, Alira looked at Tomas. "We have changed today." Tomas smiled, tired but proud. "Your people have changed. They are stronger than I thought." Alira felt hope grow inside her. The people of Leora were no longer just peaceful artists and dreamers. They were defenders of their home. But she knew this was only the beginning. The enemy would return, stronger and more determined. That night, as the city slept under the soft glow of the moons, Alira and Tomas stood together on the balcony. "We are ready," Tomas said quietly. Alira looked out at the stars. "For now, but we must be ready for whatever comes next." The challenge had only just begun. The morning after the first battle, the city of Leora was quiet but alive with new energy. The people gathered in small groups, talking in hushed voices about what had happened. Some were proud and hopeful. Others were still afraid. Princess Alira knew that their peace had been broken, but so had their fear. She walked through the city streets. Watching the people, she saw young men and women sharpening sticks and tools to use as weapons. She saw artists leaving their brushes for training. Alira returned to the palace and went to the great hall where the ancient council met. The elders sat in their seats, their faces heavy with worry. "We have survived the first attack," Alira said, "but they will come again. We must be ready." One elder spoke slowly. "We are a peaceful people. We do not fight. Our ancestors taught us to seek harmony, not war." Alira looked around the room. "Our ancestors also gave us a law few remember. It says that if danger threatens Leora, the princess may take up the spear of the peaceful. It is a weapon of honor and protection." The council was silent. Many did not want to believe the old law was real. The Spear of the Peaceful was kept in a crystal case in the palace. It was said to be a symbol of their highest hope, never to be used. Alira stepped forward and opened the case. The spear was beautiful, long and shining with light, decorated with symbols of peace and strength. The tip glowed softly, as if waiting for a worthy hand. She lifted the spear carefully. "I accept this duty. I will protect my people." Gasps filled the room. Some elders nodded slowly. Others looked down in worry. Tomas stood beside Alira, silent but steady. He had seen many leaders in battle, but he felt respect for the princess. She was not just taking a weapon, she was taking a great responsibility. That evening, Tomas began training with the volunteers in the city square. The people moved awkwardly. At first, they were not soldiers. Their hands shook as they held wooden sticks and simple shields. Alira joined the training. She moved with surprising skill. Her steps were light but firm. She learned quickly, guided by Tomas's calm voice. "You have the spirit of a warrior," Tomas said once as she practiced. "But you fight with the heart of a dancer." Alira smiled. "Then I will dance to protect Leora." The city watched as the princess trained with the people. Many felt hope grow in their hearts. If their leader was willing to fight, then maybe they could too. But not all were convinced. Some still whispered that violence would destroy their souls. They prayed for peace to return. One night, Alira and Tomas met in the palace garden. The air was cool and filled with the scent of flowers. "The enemy will return," Tomas said, stronger and more prepared. Alira nodded. "We must be ready, not just with weapons, but with courage." Tomas looked at her. "You carry more than a spear. You carry the hope of your people." Alira felt the weight of his words. She was not just a princess now. She was a protector. Days passed, and the training grew harder. The people learned to fight not out of anger, but out of love for their home. Then, news came from the city scouts. Enemy ships had been spotted approaching again, this time with more force. The city prepared for battle. Alira stood before the council once more. "We will not hide. We will stand and fight." The elders nodded, some with fear, others with pride. When the enemy ships appeared in the sky, Alira raised the spear of the peaceful high. Her voice rang out across the city. "Larans, stand with me. We protect our home, our families, and our future." The people answered her call. They took their places on the walls and streets. Tomas led the soldiers with calm orders. Alira moved among the defenders, her spear shining bright. The battle was fierce. Fire and smoke filled the air. The enemy attacked hard, but the defenders fought harder. Alira's spear moved like a flash of light, guiding and inspiring. She was graceful and strong, a true leader of her people. Tomas fought by her side, protecting her and those around him. Together, they showed the enemy that Leora was not a place to conquer. As the battle raged, Alira remembered the lessons Tomas had taught her: to fight with purpose, not hate, to protect. Not destroyed. Slowly, the enemy began to lose ground. Their ships withdrew, beaten but not broken. When the sun rose, the city stood. The people cheered, but Alira knew the war was not over. That night, as the city celebrated, Alira and Tomas stood once again on the balcony. "We have won today," she said, "but we must be ready for tomorrow." Tomas nodded. "And we will be." The princess held the spear of the peaceful close. It was more than a weapon. It was a promise. A promise to protect, to fight, and to bring peace through strength. The city of Leora had found its courage, and its protector had become a warrior. The air in Leora was heavy with tension. The city had grown stronger since the first battles, but the people knew the fight was far from over. Tomas continued training the defenders, teaching them how to move quickly and work as one. Alira walked among the soldiers, offering quiet encouragement and calm strength. One evening, as the twin suns dipped below the horizon, scouts brought urgent news. The enemy had landed on the outer islands of Leora's floating city. They were setting up camps and preparing to strike again. This was the moment Tomas and Alira had been waiting for, a chance to show the strength of their people. Alira gathered the leaders of the defenders in the great hall. Her voice was steady but filled with determination. "We cannot wait for the enemy to come to us. We must take the fight to them," she said. "This is our home. We will protect it." Tomas nodded. "A surprise attack will give us the advantage. We know the land better. Our people are ready." The council was quiet. Some feared the risk, but the princess's courage was contagious. "We will strike at night," Alira continued. "Under the cover of darkness, we will show them that Leora is not weak." The defenders prepared carefully. Tomas led the training, showing the volunteers how to move silently and strike quickly. Alira practiced with her spear, ready to lead the charge. That night, the city held its breath. The defenders moved like shadows across the islands. Alira felt her heart beat fast but steady. She was no longer just a princess. She was a leader of fighters. As they approached the enemy camps, silence was key. Tomas gave signals, and the defenders moved together, surrounding the enemy. The attack began with quiet strikes to disable sentries and take control of watchtowers. The enemy was caught off guard. They expected an easy victory, but instead found themselves surrounded by people they thought were peaceful. Alira fought with grace and power. Her spear flashed in the moonlight as she led her people. Tomas moved beside her, strong and steady. The enemy tried to fight back, but the defenders were determined. Their courage surprised even Tomas. The Laorans had found a new strength. The battle lasted through the night. Fire from the enemy was met with quick counterattacks. The defenders used the terrain to their advantage, moving swiftly and carefully. As dawn approached, the enemy began to retreat. They were beaten and confused. Leora's defenders held their ground. When the sun rose, the city was quiet again. The victory was small but important. It was the first real sign that Leora could defend itself. Alira and Tomas stood on a hill overlooking the city. The golden light of morning touched their faces. "We did it," Tomas said quietly. Alira smiled. "Yes, but the war is not over. We must be ready." The people of Leora began to believe. They saw that they could protect their home. Their hope grew stronger. But the enemy was not finished. They sent a message to the city. Surrender the princess and Tomas, or face total destruction. The council was shocked. Some wanted to give in to save the city. Others wanted to fight to the last breath. Alira stood before the council once more. "I will not be handed over," she said firmly. "We will stand together." Tomas nodded. "If they want me, they must come and take me." The city waited in silence. The choice was clear. Alira and Tomas continued to prepare the people. They trained harder and planned for what was coming. The challenge was growing, but so was the courage of Leora. As the enemy ships appeared again in the sky, the city was ready to fight for its future. Alira raised the spear of the peaceful once more. Her voice rang out across the city. "Laorans, this is our home. We protect it with our hearts and hands." The people answered her call with a roar. The battle was coming. The sun rose slowly over Leora, casting long golden beams on the floating city. But the light could not reach the dark shadow that fell across the city's heart. The enemy was near. Their fleet hovered in the sky like a storm waiting to break. "Princess." Alira stood at the palace balcony, the spear of the peaceful in her hand. She looked over her people who were preparing for the worst. The calm faces of the Laorans showed fear, but also determination. They had learned to fight, but this was the biggest challenge yet. Tomas was by her side. His eyes scanned the horizon, searching for signs of attack. "They will come soon," he said. "We must be ready." Alira nodded. "We fight for Leora, for our homes, for our families." The council met one last time before the battle. The elders spoke softly, knowing the city's fate was at stake. Some still hoped for peace, but most understood that only strength could protect their future. The city's defenders took their positions along the walls and rooftops. Tomas moved quietly among them, giving words of courage and advice. His calm presence was a steady anchor in the storm. As the enemy ships began to descend, the sky filled with noise and light. Cannons fired, and the ground shook beneath the feet of the defenders. The battle was fierce and loud. Alira moved through the city, her spear shining in the smoke and fire. She helped those who were hurt and guided the fighters. Her courage inspired everyone. Tomas fought at the front lines. His strength and skill were unmatched. But even he felt the weight of the battle. The enemy was strong and well-trained. The defenders used their knowledge of the city to their advantage. They set traps and used narrow pathways to slow the enemy's advance. The floating gardens and bridges became battlefields. At one point, Alira found herself face to face with a group of enemy soldiers. She did not hesitate. Her spear moved like lightning, and her movements were graceful and strong. The soldiers fell back, surprised by her power. In the heart of the city, a great explosion shook the walls. The enemy had found a weak point. Panic spread among the defenders. Tomas rushed to the scene. With Alira's help, they organized a counterattack. Together, they fought side by side, their teamwork perfect. Slowly, the tide began to turn. The enemy's attacks grew weaker. Their ships started to retreat. When the last ship left the sky, the city was quiet again. The people of Leora had won a hard-fought victory. Alira stood before her people, the spear of the peaceful raised high. "We have faced the darkness and stood strong," she said. "Our home is safe because of all of you." The city cheered. Hope and pride filled their hearts. But Alira knew the war was not over. The enemy would return. They would bring new dangers. She looked at Tomas. "We must prepare for the future. Together." Tomas smiled. "We will face it as one." The sun set on Leora, its light strong and steady. The city had found its courage and would never lose it again. The city of Leora was quiet in the early morning light. The battles were over, but the echoes of those days remained in the hearts of its people. The floating gardens still swayed gently in the breeze, and the soft songs of birds filled the air. Once again, but the city was different now. It had changed. Princess Alira stood on the highest tower of the palace, holding the spear of the peaceful close. The weight of the spear was no longer heavy with fear or doubt. It felt like a promise to protect her people and to build a future where peace was strong. And true. Tomas joined her on the tower, his eyes calm but filled with hope. "The city looks peaceful today," he said. Alira smiled softly. "Yes, but peace is not just the absence of war. It is the courage to build and protect what we love." Tomas nodded. "You have changed your people. Alira, you have shown them strength with kindness." The princess looked out over the city. Children played in the streets, and merchants prepared their stalls. Life was returning to normal. But everyone knew that Leora's strength had grown deeper over the past months. Tomas and Alira had worked side by side to rebuild the city's defenses. But more than walls and weapons, they built trust between people who once feared the unknown. Tomas taught the soldiers, but he also learned from the Leorans their love of art, their respect for life. One afternoon, Alira walked through the city gardens with Tomas. The flowers bloomed brighter than before. The trees whispered stories of hope. "Do you ever miss your home?" Alira asked quietly. Tomas looked at her. "Sometimes, but now, this feels like my home too." Alira smiled. "You have become part of Leora." Tomas took her hand gently. "And you have become my family." The people of Leora gathered in the city square for a great celebration. The war was over, and the future was bright. Music filled the air, and lanterns glowed softly as night fell. Alira stood before the crowd, the spear of the peaceful shining in her hand. "Today, we celebrate not only our victory, but our courage to protect peace. We have learned that strength and kindness can live together." The crowd cheered. The city had found its new path, one of hope and unity. As the festival lights danced, Alira looked at Tomas. Together, they had faced the greatest challenge. Together, they had saved Leora. The stars shone brightly above the floating city. A new dawn was rising for Leora, a dawn of peace, courage, and friendship. And the graceful alien princess and the human soldier stood ready to lead their people into that bright future.